First episode is about to be a breeze, baby. Hey, welcome to the OE podcast where sports takes center stage. I'm K Sounds. This is a show where we dive deep into the hottest stories across college and pro sports. And with that, let's get right into it. Thursday night AFC East Division battle game between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins was a tough one to watch because I got Tyreek on my fantasy. But the Bills walked away with the dub, dominant win, 31-10. The Bills are now 2-0 on the season, while the Dolphins are 1-1. The Bills turned up early in this one. Quarterback Josh Allen really didn't have much going on, but was efficient, going 13-19 on passing for 139 yards in the tutty. Running back James Cook got busy as well, found the end zone 3 times. Twice on the ground, 1 in the air. His 49-yard touchdown run in the second quarter really shifted the game early in their favor, putting Buffalo up 24-10 at halftime. The Bills had lockdown defense, with corner Jamarcus Ingram having a big boy night with 2 interceptions, including a 31-yard pick six that gave Buffalo the 21-point lead in the third. But it was really a belter-ass game, forcing Dolphins QB Tua to throw 3 picks. The Dolphins were on the struggle bus this game. Tua finished with 145 yards, a tutty, and 3 picks before leaving the third quarter with a concussion. Backup Skylar Thompson subbed in, but really couldn't crank up a comeback. One thing Miami did have going for him was Devon Achane, who had 165 total yards and caught a 5-yard tutty early in the game, but wasn't enough to overcome the Bills' pressure. The big concern for Miami now is Tua's health. This is the 3rd documented concussion in his career. Tua stated Sunday he has no plans to retire and already started seeing a specialist, but there's no timeline on when he'll return. Now, the Dolphins did pick up Tyler Huntley from Baltimore practice squad. He may work, but I got some other ideas on that too. I got some other ideas as well. But I feel without Tua, this may be a rough season for the Dolphins. For the next game, the Dolphins will try to bounce back as they head to Seattle to face the Seahawks for a Week 3 matchup, while the Bills will try to keep their same energy when the Jags pull up on the 23rd. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders pulled off a second-half upset versus the Baltimore Ravens, winning 26-23, dropping the Ravens to 0-2 for the season as the Raiders even out at 1-1. The kick game was on full display for both teams, going back-to-back on field goals, with Justin Tucker having one up on Daniel Carson by halftime. The Ravens first seemed to have the game in the bag. Lamar Jackson had a mixed night, going 21 of 34 on passing for 247 yards, a tutty, and 1 pick. Derrick Henry started to gain traction in the second half, going 18 carries for 84 yards on the night, including a direct snap for a 3-yard tutty, pushing the Ravens up by 10 early in the fourth. The Raiders went into the fourth quarter down by 10, but QB Gardner Minshew stayed locked in and secured the dub. Minshew was 30 for 38 on passing, 276 yards, a tutty, and 1 pick. Receiver Devontae Adams cooked up the Ravens secondary, having 9 receptions for 110 yards and a tutty that was crucial in the fourth quarter when tying the game at 23. The Raiders defense came up big when they needed it. Mad Max Crosby went beast mode, sacking Lamar Jackson, which killed the Ravens' drive late in the game. With the game tied, Raiders secured the bag with a game-winning field goal from Daniel Carson. Ball game, light work. Now the Raiders will have a Week 3 matchup at home with the struggling Carolina Panthers, while the Ravens will head to Dallas to try to bounce back against the Cowboys. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings get the dub over San Francisco, winning 23-17, moving to 2-0 for the season as the 49ers even out at 1-1. QB Sam Darnold was in rare form, throwing for 2 tutties and 1 pick, but the big play of the night was Justin Jefferson's crazy 97-yard touchdown to the crib. Justin Jefferson totaled for 133 yards before leaving the game with a quad injury, but had major impact. Now the 49ers didn't go down without a fight. Jordan Mason rushed for 100 yards and a tutty. Brock Purdy had 206 yards passing, a tutty, and 1 pick that turned into 6 for the Vikings on the other side. Minnesota had lockdown defense, giving Purdy a long day with 2 turnovers and 3 sacks. The 49ers tried to make a comeback with a 99-yard drive to close the gap, but fell short. The 49ers have a Week 3 matchup at home against the LA Rams, who's having injury problems of their own, while the Vikings will try to defend home against my Houston Texans. offense. The biggest game of the week did not disappoint as the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-25. The Chiefs are now 2-0 on the season while the Bengals have an 0-2 start. Now this game was intense with both teams trading field goals in the first quarter. The Bengals started cooking in the second quarter with QB Joe Shiesty hitting second-year receiver Yoshi Vus for a 4-yard tutty. Bengals stretched the lead out with 2 more field goals, making it 16-10 by halftime. Joe Burrow had grind mode activated, throwing for 258 yards and 2 tutties on the night, but the Chiefs weren't going for none of that. Pat Mahomes instantly got his lick back with a 44-yard dot to Rashee Rice to hit Ye Morris with the 1-yard tutty. Mahomes had 137 yards, 2 tutties, and 2 picks. Not his best work, but he got the job done. Fourth quarter, crunch time. Kamari Connor snatches up a Bengals fumble and it's 38 yards to the crib, putting the Chiefs up 23-22. Bengals kicker McPherson puts the boot on a 53-yard field goal, giving Cincy back the lead 25-23 with 10 minutes left on the clock. Plenty time. Now a pass interference call sets up Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker for a 51-yard field goal. No time left, ball game. Chiefs secure the dub 26-25. Now the Bengals will try to bounce back from an 0-2 start as the Commanders pull up week 3 while the Chiefs hit the ATL to face a very good Falcons team. Alabama rolled over Wisconsin 42-10 in a dominant performance. Jalen Milroe was doing Jalen Milroe things, throwing for 196 yards and 3 tutties while adding 2 rushing scores. We all know 2 + 4 = 6. Like true freshman Ryan Williams would say, grabbing a 31-yard tutty and finishing with 7 to 8 yards. Wisconsin QB Tyler Van Dyke suffered a knee injury in the first quarter and was replaced by Brandon Locke, who threw for 125 yards passing and a tutty. Big Bama rolled with 530 total yards, controlling the game from start to finish. Now Bama is on a bye week, but the next true test will be against Georgia in the Week 5 matchup. Now speaking on Georgia, Georgia gets a struggle win as they defeat Kentucky 13-12. The Dogs struggled to get their offense going all game, but secured the win with a 3-yard go-ahead touchdown by Branson Robinson in the fourth quarter. Kentucky made 4 field goals keeping the game close, but ultimately fell short. Carson Beck finished with 160 yards passing, but no tutties. Trevor Etienne led the running back group with 79 yards rushing on 19 carries. Now Kentucky almost had a 10-0 lead early on with Zion Childress running back a tip pass, but they called it back and ruled it incomplete. QB Brock Vandegrift had 114 yards passing, but no tutties. Kentucky running back Sumo Karnbay had the run game going. With 98 rushing yards, Kentucky actually outgained the Dogs in total yards, 284 to 262, but couldn't pull off the dub. Georgia now improves to 3-0 on the season, but drops to number 2 in the AP rankings, while the Wildcats are now 1-2 for the season. Now LSU had a close one as well as they get the dub over South Carolina, 36-33. LSU came back from what was looking like an upset alert as South Carolina ran it up 17-0 early on. QB Garrett Nussmeier had big dog energy, throwing for 285 yards, 2 tutties, and 1 pick. Running back Josh Williams was clutch with a 2-yard tutty with just over a minute left in the game. Running back Caden Durham also had 98 rushing yards and 2 tutties on the night. South Carolina had their foot on the gas, especially with the run game. QB Lenora Sellers had 88 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns, including that 75-yard tutty to the crib, but had to leave the game before halftime due to injury. Running back Raheem Sanders also had a big game, rushing for 143 yards and 2 tutties. LSU's defense, led by Harold Perkins, held on just enough, and South Carolina couldn't pull off an upset, missing a 49-yard field goal attempt in the final seconds of the game. LSU is now 2-1 on the season, and the next game is at home when UCLA pulls up the Death Valley. Next up, Rocky Mountain Showdown. Colorado put the BTA to Colorado State, winning 28-9. Shador put on a clinic, 310 passing yards and 4 tutties. Travis Hunter caught 13 passes for 100 yards, 2 tutties, and snatched a pick on defense. LeJontay Wester also caught 5 passes for 80 yards and 2 tutties. The Buffalo's defense also did their thing, forcing 4 turnovers. CSU really struggled to get things going. QB Brandon Fowler Nicolosi completed 23 of 39 passes for 209 yards, but was picked off twice by Colorado's defense. Running back Justin Marshall had 54 rushing yards on 14 carries and CSU's only touchdown of the night. The Buffs are now 2-1 on the season, and they have a Week 4 matchup versus Baylor, who are also 2-1. Okay, for the Junior Elite Spotlight, we're going to talk about Decorian Moore, Duncanville High School, senior, 5-star, top receiver coming out of 2025, committed to Oregon, and plays for the number 3 high school in the country. Has speed and gets shifty. Let's check out some of these highlights. Oh, see, get shifty. Alright. But a dog. Not to mention, we got my boy Keelan Rustin throwing that dot to him, know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about him. He coming to Belmont. We'll talk about him in the next episode. Nice. Get it. Stay on your feet. Oh yeah. Yeah. He a dog. He's gonna be a good figure at Oregon with the stuff they already got going on over there. A big play receiver like that should do just fine. All right, that does it for the first episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna try and do more every week. Bear with me because I'm getting used to this. I'm trying to get my footing, know what I'm saying? But we gonna get it done. So we out. I'll let you next week.